Ma'am, you're blocking the main entrance. If you're here for cleaning or deliveries, you need to wait outside. The sentence floated across the marble lobby like it had been said 100 times before. Zara Cole's heels stopped mid-step. A moment ago, they'd been tapping a confident rhythm against the polished floor. Now the sound died, swallowed by distant chatter, the waterfall wall, and the faint hum of air conditioning. She turned her head toward the reception desk. The woman behind it, Brittany, according to the gold nameplate, didn't look up at first. One hand scrolled lazily on her phone, the other flapped toward the revolving doors. Service staff used the side entrance, she added, boredom dripping from her tone. You can wait outside until someone comes to get you, okay? Zara blinked slowly. Navy suit tailored to perfection. Silk blouse. Discreet diamond studs. Dark skin glowing under the crystal lights. A leather briefcase that cost more than most used cars sat at her side. She glanced at her watch. 2:53 p.m. 7 minutes until the board meeting. I'm not here for cleaning or deliveries, she said, her voice level. I'm here for a meeting with the board. On the 38th floor. That made Brittany finally look up. Her eyes dragged over Zara from curls to heels, lingering an extra beat on her face, her complexion, the absence of a visitor badge. A tiny smirk tugged at the corner of her lips. A board meeting, she repeated. Right. And I'm the CFO. She gave a short laugh and glanced at a man in a suit walking past, as if expecting him to join in. He did, with a snort. Zara's expression didn't change. Yes, she said simply. Board of Directors. Skyview Conference Room. Starts at 3. Look, Brittany sighed, sitting up a little straighter. This area is for clients and executives. Staff use the employee entrance. If you're dropping something off, you can wait outside until security is time for you. You can't just wander into the executive elevators. She pointed again at the doors. Outside. Please. The word, please, landed like an order, not a courtesy. Conversations in the lobby began to slow, then thin out. A couple of analysts pretended to check their phones while angling themselves for a better view. Someone in HR stopped mid-stride, eyes narrowing. Zara felt the familiar tightening in her chest, the one that came every time a stranger decided who she was in a glance. She inhaled once, quietly. Do you greet everyone this way? She asked mildly. Everyone who obviously doesn't belong up there? Brittany gestured toward the gleaming elevator bank. Yeah. A security guard pushed away from his station. Mid-50s, uniform slightly tied at the waist, radio on his shoulder. His badge read Jerome. What's the issue? He asked, already looking at Zara like she was a problem, not a person. This lady's refusing to wait outside, Brittany said, not taking her eyes off Zara. She says she has a board meeting. No badge, no appointment. Jerome stepped between Zara and the elevators. Ma'am, if you don't have access credentials, I'll need you to step away and wait outside until your contact comes down. It's protocol. Zara looked at him steadily. You haven't asked my name, she said, or who I'm meeting, or checked any list. Jerome shifted. Ma'am, I'm just asking you to follow the rules. I know your rules, Zara replied quietly. I also know they don't say assume a black woman in a suit is here to clean. A hush swept the lobby. Nobody said that, Brittany snapped. You're twisting my words. You said, service staff wait outside, before you knew anything about me, Zara replied. That's not twisted. That's exactly what happened. Her phone buzzed in her hand. A text from Margaret, the board secretary. Everyone's here. Where are you? She silenced it. 2:54 p.m. 6 minutes. Jerome's voice hardened. Ma'am, step away from the elevators, or I'll have to call this in. Before Zara could answer, Brittany's phone lit up again. Her annoyance shifted into excitement. Oh, this is going to be good, she muttered. I'm going live. She propped her phone at an angle, camera aimed straight at Zara. A red live icon appeared. Hey guys, she whispered theatrically to her followers. You are not going to believe what's happening in the lobby. Some woman just walked in like she owns the place, saying she has a board meeting. No badge, no nothing. The viewer count climbed. 9, 17, 32. Zara glanced at the phone, then back at Brittany. You're live streaming me? She asked. Without my consent. In your company's lobby. Brittany smirked at the camera. Gotta show you guys what we deal with, she said. Entitled much? Comments began to pop up. Kick her out faced with tears of joy. Call the cops FR. Another wannabe boss lady LOL. The elevator chimed. A woman in a sharp gray suit stepped out. Patricia Hayes, Regional Operations Manager. She took in the crowd, the cameras, the tension. "What's going on?" she demanded. "This woman's trying to get up to the executive floor," Brittany said quickly. "Claims she has a board meeting. We're live right now." Patricia's gaze ran over Zara the way you'd scan a misdelivered package. "A board meeting?" she repeated, voice laced with disbelief. "With who?" "With the board," Zara said, tone still even. "In about 5 minutes." Patricia gave a tiny, patronizing smile. "Honey, I've worked here 15 years. I know every face that belongs upstairs. You definitely don't look like executive material." Laughter rippled through the onlookers. Someone's phone tilted, making sure they caught that line. Zara stood very still. Inside, something burned. Outside, she only checked her watch again. 2:55 p.m. 5 minutes. "Okay, that's enough," Patricia said briskly. "Security, remove her from the lobby. We can't have this circus when clients arrive." Jerome reached for his radio. Before he could speak into it, the elevator chimed again. 2 more people stepped out. Lisa Park, CFO, and board member Robert Chan. Their conversation died at the sight of the crowd. "What is this?" Lisa asked. "Just handling someone who doesn't belong here," Patricia said quickly. "She's claiming she has a board meeting." Robert's eyes slid to Zara, narrowed. A flicker of recognition twitched across his features. "Excuse me," he said slowly. "Is your name Zara?" The lobby seemed to inhale. "Yes," she replied, meeting his gaze. "Zara Cole." Patricia's head snapped toward him. "You know her?" she asked, suddenly pale. Robert cleared his throat. "We're scheduled to meet our new CEO upstairs," he said. 10 minutes before the board session. He looked back at Zara. "You're early," he added softly. Brittany's phone slipped in her hand. The live chat exploded. Zara reached into her briefcase, withdrew a folder embossed with Horizon's logo, and held it up so the nearest cameras could catch the heading. Board Resolution, Emergency Executive Authority. Signed, Chairwoman and Chief Executive Officer, Horizon Equity Group. She lifted her eyes to the room. The receptionist, the guard, the manager, the staff who'd watched and recorded. "For everyone still filming," she said, voice clear and calm. "Let me introduce myself properly." She looked straight into Brittany's lens. "My name is Zara Cole," she said. "I am the chairwoman and CEO of this company. And 7 minutes from now, I'll be upstairs deciding who still works here." The lobby stayed frozen for 3 long seconds. Then everything moved at once. Phones lowering, eyes widening, whispers exploding like popcorn. Brittany's live stream comments turned into a blur of shock. Jerome's radio dangled uselessly from his hand. Patricia's knees seemed to soften. Zara clicked her briefcase shut. "I'll be in the boardroom," she said quietly. "Everyone who participated in this incident will join me there in 10 minutes. Her gaze swept the group. Brittany at the desk, Patricia in her gray suit, Jerome in uniform, the cluster of employees who had laughed or watched or recorded. No one dared argue. She stepped into the executive elevator. For the first time since she entered the building, no one blocked her path. The door slid shut. As the elevator rose, Zara finally let herself exhale. Her reflection stared back from the mirrored walls. Composed face, tense shoulders, eyes still hot. Inside, she was vibrating. "You could end them right now," a hard voice whispered. "Fire them all. Show them what happens when they play with the wrong woman." Another voice answered just as firmly. "And then what?" Another press release, another "we handled it," and nothing underneath changes. The elevator chimed. The doors opened onto the 38th floor. Up here, the atmosphere felt different. Carpeted floors, soft lighting, abstract art on the walls. The glass-walled Skyview conference room overlooked the city, board members already seated around the long table, folders and tablets neatly arranged. Margaret, the board secretary, stood as Zara walked in. "There you are," she said, relief and concern mixing. "We were worried something had." "Something has," Zara said. "And before we review quarterly numbers or compliance reports, we need to review the state of our own front door." The room fell quiet. She set her briefcase at the head of the table, opened it, and pulled out her tablet. A few taps later, the wall screen at the far end flickered to life. "Some of you will recognize this," she said. "Your lobby. From 10 minutes ago." The video played. Brittany's dismissive wave. Service staff wait outside. Jerome stepping in front of her. "Ma'am, You need to wait outside. Patricia's voice, sharp. She doesn't look like executive material. The laughter. The live chat scrolling with insults. The moment Robert recognized her name, no one moved. Hearing it in grainy audio had been one thing. Watching it in crisp clarity, with the Horizon logo glowing behind reception, was another. When the clip ended, the silence in Skyview was heavy. James broke it first. "Good Lord," he said softly. "This is what greeted your CEO when she walked into her own building," Zara said. "This is how visitors who look like me could be treated any day, whether they're investors, candidates, or interns." And it happened in 7 minutes. Lisa looked shaken. "How far has this spread?" she asked. Zara swiped to another screen, screenshots of posts, early hashtags. "Far enough that we don't get to pretend it didn't," she replied. "But not so far that we can't decide what story gets told next." She turned to the glass wall. Through it, they could see the elevator lobby outside. The doors opened again. Patricia, Brittany, and Jerome stepped out, walking like people on their way to a verdict. Zara nodded to Margaret. "Let them in." They filed into the room and took the seats opposite the board, hands clasped, shoulders tight. None of them looked up at the screen, where their own faces had just been 10 feet tall. "For the record," Zara said, her tone formal now, "this is an internal disciplinary session concerning a discrimination incident that occurred in the ground floor lobby. All decisions made here will be documented." Brittany burst first. "Ms. Cole, I'm so sorry," she blurted, voice shaking. I didn't know it was you. If I'd known. If you'd known I was the CEO, you would have treated me differently," Zara finished calmly. "That is exactly our problem." Brittany's mouth closed. Tears spilled down. Zara's eyes moved to Patricia. 15 years here," she said. "How many times have you told a white man in a suit to wait outside, without asking his name?" Patricia stared at the table. "Never," she whispered. "How many times have you looked at a white woman in heels and thought she didn't look like executive material?" Zara pressed. "Never," Patricia said again, softer. "And yet you did it to me in less than 30 seconds, Zara said. "Not because of my credentials. Because of your picture of who belongs upstairs." Jerome swallowed hard as her attention shifted. "You," she said. "You heard problem in the lobby, saw me, and decided I needed removing. Did you ask my name? My purpose? Did you check a list?" "No, ma'am," Jerome said. "I went straight to enforcement." "Which means you went straight to suspicion," Zara replied. "On the CEO of your own company. Imagine how many others have gotten the same treatment without that title." She let the question hang. "I called this meeting," she went on, turning to include the board again, "because the internet expects me to do something today. Fire them all. Make a bloody example. Feed the outrage." No one disagreed. "And I could," Zara said. "Thanks to the emergency resolution you signed this morning, I have full authority to terminate every person involved, with cause." Brittany squeezed her eyes shut. Patricia gripped her chair. Jerome looked suddenly older. Zara slid a document into the center of the table. "This," she said, "is what harsh justice looks like on paper. Terminations. Stripped titles. No severance." Then she put a second document beside it. "And this," she said quietly, "is what transformation could look like instead." The board leaned forward. The 3 employees held their breath. "In 7 minutes," she added, echoing her own words from the lobby. "I could end their careers. Or I could end something much bigger and uglier living inside this company." She looked each of them in the eye, board member and lobby staff alike. "The question is," she said, "what kind of justice will actually change us?" Patricia's fingers trembled as she stared at the tabletop. Brittany wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand. Jerome sat stiff as stone, jaw locked. They waited for the hammer to fall. But Zara didn't pick up the termination folder. She placed her hand on it, then gently pushed it aside. "I'm not here to end your lives," she said softly. "I'm here to end the version of this company that created you." That single sentence hit harder than any firing could have. The board members exchanged looks, surprised, cautious, curious. Zara lifted the second folder. "This," she said, "is the path forward." She opened it. A different set of documents stared back. Reassignments, training plans, cultural reform initiatives, revised protocols. Consequences designed to correct, not simply punish. She turned first to Patricia. "Patricia Hayes," she read, "you are being removed from your role as Regional Operations Manager, effective today." Patricia inhaled sharply but didn't speak. You will remain with the company, Zara continued. But in a new position, senior account supervisor. A lower salary. No direct reports. And you will undergo mandatory training on bias, inclusive leadership, and interpersonal conduct. Patricia's throat bobbed. You're not firing me, she whispered. I'm firing the version of you who looked at me and saw it doesn't belong, Zara replied. If you stay, you become someone who works to undo the harm you caused, starting with yourself. Patricia covered her mouth with her hand, eyes glistening. I will, she whispered. I will learn. I'll change. Next, Zara turned to Brittany. Brittany Carter, she said, voice firm but not cruel. Your unauthorized live stream and your commentary place this company at legal and ethical risk. You will be suspended without pay for 30 days. Brittany's face crumpled. She opened her mouth to plead, but Zara raised a hand. After your suspension, Zara continued, you may return in a modified role, but only after completing training in digital responsibility, bias awareness, and de-escalation. Brittany nodded quickly, tears spilling. I'll do it. I swear. I learned my lesson the second you said your name. That wasn't the lesson you needed, Zara said. You needed to learn it before you knew who I was. Then she turned to Jerome. Jerome Taylor, she said. You failed to verify protocol. You escalated based on assumption, not information. But you also showed hesitation when things went too far. That matters. Jerome looked stunned. You will receive a formal warning, Zara said. And additional training. You'll remain on staff, but your future here depends on proving you can lead with dignity, not fear. A long breath escaped Jerome's chest. Thank you, he whispered. You won't regret giving me another chance. Zara looked at all three of them. You are not getting off easy, she said. You are being given responsibility. The responsibility to grow. The responsibility to show others what growth looks like. She turned toward the board. This isn't only about them, she said. It's about what happens next. She clicked a button on her tablet. A new slide filled the screen. The Horizon Dignity Initiative. Immediate culture reform measures. The bullet points drew murmurs from around the table. Mandatory respectful greeting protocols. Bias interruption training for all staff. Anonymous reporting channels. Monthly culture audits. Lobby conduct standards. Leadership accountability reviews. This, Zara said, is bigger than 3 people. If I fire them today, the story becomes about villains being punished. If I keep them and change them, the story becomes about transformation. And that's what this company needs more than revenge. James nodded slowly. You want this to be a turning point. I want us to be a case study in how companies choose accountability over optics, Zara said. Because optics are temporary. Culture is permanent. Patricia wiped her eyes again. Miss Cole, why give us a chance? After what we did. Zara looked at her for a long moment. Because today, you treated me the way this world treats thousands of people who don't have the power to fight back. If I fire you, we learn nothing. If I teach you, if we teach each other, this company becomes safer for the next person who walks through that lobby. She leaned forward slightly. And because I refuse to let the worst 7 minutes of your lives become the definition of who you are. Silence filled the room. Not tense. Not fearful. Something different. Something shifting. Robert, the board member who first recognized her name, finally spoke. I support this, he said. This is not mercy. This is leadership. One by one, the other board members nodded. Approval. Full authority granted. Zara closed the folder. You will all begin your new roles immediately, she said. Report to HR today. And tomorrow, we start building the version of Horizon that should have greeted me in that lobby. Patricia nodded. Brittany sniffed. Jerome straightened his shoulders. Zara stood. Meeting adjourned, she said quietly. And welcome to your second chance. They left the room changed. But Zara knew the real test wasn't today. It was what they would become next. 6 months later, the lobby didn't feel like the same place at all. The marble floors and glass walls were still there, but something invisible had shifted, something warmer, calmer, more human. A soft rug now softened the seating area. A subtle sign beneath the Horizon logo read, every person who walks through these doors deserves dignity. It wasn't decoration. It was a promise. Brittany adjusted her blazer and smiled as a guest approached the desk cautiously. A young black woman with a laptop bag and nervous eyes. Hi there, Brittany said warmly, standing instead of staying seated. Welcome to Horizon. How can I help you today? The woman hesitated. I'm here for a meeting with the venture team. I'm early. Perfect, Brittany said. What's your name? Jade Thompson. Brittany typed quickly. Got you. You're meeting with Amir. I'll let him know you're here. Coffee and tea are over there, and feel free to sit anywhere. If you need anything, I'm right here. Jade blinked, surprised. Wow. Thank you. Brittany gave a soft smile. 6 months ago, she would have judged Jade's jeans, her backpack, her quiet voice. Now she saw a person, a guest, someone deserving of warmth, not suspicion, not sarcasm, and definitely not a live stream. Her phone buzzed. The notification came from the Dignity Check app, Horizon's internal recognition and reporting tool. Reception team treated today's visitors with genuine respect, felt proud walking into the building. Brittany tapped the screen and smiled. 6 months ago, she would have chased likes. Now she chased moments like that. Across the lobby, Jerome stood in a new Navy uniform. Same badge, same role, but a different man wearing it. Months of training had reshaped everything about how he worked. Instead of scanning faces for potential threats, he now scanned them for cues: hesitation, confusion, discomfort. A large man in a hoodie approached the security desk, glancing at a scrap of paper in his hand. Hey there, Jerome said with a light nod. Welcome in. First time here. The man looked relieved. Yeah, delivery for the tech division. I wasn't sure which elevator. I got you, Jerome said. Let's verify your drop, then I'll escort you up. 6 months ago, he might have reached for his radio first. Now he reached for conversation. The metrics showed the result. Mistaken escalations, down 100%. Visitor satisfaction, highest in company history. Jerome took pride in that. Real pride. Not the defensive, stiff pride he used to wear like armor. Training hadn't made him soft. It had made him accurate. He glanced toward Zara's office upstairs. The CEO who could have destroyed his career had rebuilt it instead, by rebuilding him. Patricia stepped into the lobby, tablet under her arm, hair pulled back neatly. Her new role, senior account supervisor, was no longer a demotion in her mind. It was a classroom. She paused by the new mural near the seating area, a swirl of diverse silhouettes intertwined with bold text. Respect is the first welcome. A young intern approached her. Ms. Hayes? Sorry, do you have a moment? Patricia smiled. Of course. The intern shifted nervously. I just wanted to say your honesty in that training session meant a lot. Hearing someone senior admit their blind spots, it helped me feel safer here. Patricia felt her throat tighten. Thank you, she said softly. It helps me too. Believe me. She had become the company's most active mentor, especially for employees who had once felt invisible. Not because it erased what she said in the lobby, but because it transformed who she was afterward. And then there was Zara. Every morning, instead of using the private garage entrance reserved for executives, she made it a point to walk through the main lobby. No entourage, no special announcement. Just her. Some employees stood taller when they saw her. Others smiled nervously. A few whispered, "That's her, the lobby CEO." And every day, Zara paused for a moment, looking at the reception desk, the security station, the flow of employees and visitors. This had once been the place where 7 minutes had tried to shrink her. Now it was the place where 7 months had expanded her entire company. She approached Jerome first. Good morning, Jerome. He nodded respectfully. Morning, Miss Cole. How's your day starting? Better every time I walk through here, she said. She continued to the reception desk. Morning, Brittany. Brittany straightened. Good morning, Miss Cole. Zara glanced at the welcome sign below the Horizon logo. Looks beautiful today, she said. Brittany beamed. Thank you. We try. Zara walked toward the elevators, but before stepping in, she turned back to look at the lobby, her lobby. The place where prejudice had tried to define her. The place she had redefined instead. A place no one would ever again be told to wait outside. 1 year later, people still whispered about the lobby incident, but not as scandal, as transformation. The clip of Zara standing calmly while being told to wait outside had faded from trending pages, but its impact lived everywhere, in classrooms, boardrooms, HR playbooks, leadership seminars, and LinkedIn essays about humility and power. It had become a legend, not about humiliation, but about what came after. Inside Horizon, the numbers told their own story. Employee satisfaction, up 25%. Diverse hiring, up 40%. Client trust scores, highest since the company opened. Bias-related complaints, nearly zero. What changed wasn't just policy. It was people. Brittany sat in front of a small production camera, mic clipped to her collar. She took a deep breath. "Hi, my name is Brittany Carter," she began, hands clasped. "And I used to be the receptionist who live-streamed my own CEO while humiliating her. No dramatic music. No excuses. I thought I was being funny. I thought I was protecting the company. Really, I was protecting my own assumptions." She looked into the lens, eyes steady. "If Zara hadn't chosen to transform me instead of fire me, I would still be that person. I'm glad she didn't let me stay her." This recording would become part of Horizon's onboarding training, shown to every new employee, not to shame Brittany, but to teach them exactly how fast bias can turn into harm, and how growth can turn into healing. Patricia stood before a group of new managers, laser pointer in hand. "Bias isn't always loud," she said, clicking to the next slide. "Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides behind professionalism or gut instinct. If you don't challenge it, it becomes policy without anyone writing it down." An analyst raised her hand. "How did you realize you had those biases?" she asked. Patricia paused. "I saw who I hurt," she said simply. "And then I chose not to be the person who could hurt them again." Her honesty made the room lean in. Patricia no longer avoided the memory of that day. She used it, not as a wound, but as a warning. Jerome now led monthly Dignity First Security workshops. On the whiteboard behind him, he wrote the same 3 questions at the start of every session. 1. Did you ask? 2. Did you listen? 3. Did your actions protect safety or punish difference? New guards watched him with respect. He spoke with the authority of someone who had lived the consequences of getting it wrong. 1 year ago, he told them, "I thought my job started with suspicion. Now I know it starts with humanity." He tapped his chest. "You can't enforce dignity if you don't practice it." Outside Horizon, the ripple grew. A university professor emailed Zara asking permission to use the incident in her ethics course. A police department invited Jerome to speak about de-escalation. A Fortune 500 CEO asked for Zara's Dignity Initiative template. A law school wrote a case study titled 7 Minutes at the Lobby, Leadership, Bias, and Institutional Reform. Even social media, the same machine that once mocked her, now shared clips of her TED-style talk. Power isn't proven by punishing mistakes. It's proven by transforming the people who made them. People quoted it. Parents showed it to their kids. Managers scribbled it into notebooks. The story had shifted from scandal to blueprint. And then there was Zara. She walked through that lobby every morning, not because she needed to, but because she wanted to witness the change she fought for. Some days, a visitor would approach her shyly. "Are you Zara? The CEO from that video?" She'd smile. "Yes. I just wanted to say, your story helped me. At my job, I was written off a lot. Seeing what you did, it made me feel less alone." Zara always thanked them, because she knew this story wasn't really about her anymore. It belonged to every person who had ever been judged before they spoke. Every person who had ever been underestimated. Every person who had ever swallowed their dignity just to get through the door. If she could turn her moment of humiliation into their moment of empowerment, then the pain had purpose. One crisp morning, she stood near the lobby coffee station as Brittany helped a visually impaired intern find a seat, guiding him with patience instead of annoyance. Jerome gently redirected a confused delivery man instead of scolding him. Patricia crouched beside a nervous job candidate, offering reassuring words. And the lobby, the same lobby where she'd once been dismissed, felt like a place where every person mattered. Zara smiled to herself. 1 year ago, they had judged her because they couldn't imagine a black woman as CEO. Today, they didn't hesitate to imagine anyone as valued. The ripple had become a wave she intended to carry forward. 12 months after the incident, the Horizon building stood as a quiet monument to what dignity could build. The lobby, once a battleground of bias, had become the warmest, safest place in the entire company. And today, it would host something special. A delegation of international leaders entered the building, executives from Tokyo, Johannesburg, London, and Sao Paulo. They had flown across oceans to see the transformation story that had changed corporate culture conversations worldwide. The moment they stepped inside, they paused. A young receptionist, one who had never heard the old rumors, greeted them with a smile so genuine it lit the entryway. "Welcome to Horizon. You're in the right place." Jerome approached, offering guides, directions, and assistance without a shred of judgment in his posture. His badge gleamed. His confidence radiated. His respect was immediate. Patricia stood ready with folders, schedules, and a warm handshake for every guest, each gesture grounded in humility she had earned through change. The delegation exchanged impressed looks. But the moment everyone waited for came when the elevator doors opened and Zara Cole stepped out. Her presence filled the lobby, not loud, not forceful, but steady, grounded, unmistakably powerful. Ms. Cole, Dr. Ako Tanaka, the leadership researcher from Tokyo, said as she approached, "We've studied your reforms for months, but seeing this in person is something else entirely." Zara smiled. Transformation is always more powerful when you can feel it. Dr. Tanaka tilted her head. Many leaders would have chosen to punish. You chose to transform. What? Zara gestured toward the lobby around them, toward Brittany laughing with a coworker, toward Jerome helping an elderly client with a walker, toward Patricia guiding new interns with patience instead of superiority. Because punishment teaches fear, Zara said. Transformation teaches responsibility. She continued. Fear makes people hide their flaws. Responsibility makes them grow from them. And growth is the only thing that changes a culture, not rules, not threats. Dr. Tanaka nodded slowly. It's rare to see such results. It's rare, Zara agreed, because most people confuse justice with revenge. The group followed her as she led them through the building, past collaborative workspaces filled with diverse teams, past digital dashboards tracking culture metrics, past testimonials from employees who once felt unseen. At every turn, the evidence spoke louder than any speech. Respect wasn't a memo. It was behavior. Back in the lobby, a few employees gathered for the daily dignity moment, a 60-second reflection ritual that had become part of Horizon's culture. Today's reader was a new analyst, barely 23 years old. She cleared her throat and began. Every workplace has moments where someone gets judged too fast, treated too poorly, or looked at too narrowly. What matters isn't the mistake, it's what we choose to do next. Zara folded her hands as she listened. The analyst continued. Here at Horizon, we choose to do better. Every person, every day, for ourselves, and for the next person who walks through that door. The room fell silent when she finished, quiet, but full. Dr. Tanaka whispered. You turned a humiliation into a blueprint. Zara exhaled softly. No, she said. We turned it into one. Together. Because the truth was simple. Horizon didn't change because one woman was disrespected. Horizon changed because one woman refused to believe the people who disrespected her were beyond redemption. And that choice, more than any punishment, rewrote the company's future. As the delegation left the building, one of the leaders turned back. Ms. Cole, he said, your story is becoming a global model. What should we call this approach when we teach it? Zara smiled. Call it dignity, she said. Everything else grows from that. He nodded thoughtfully and stepped outside. Zara turned back toward the lobby, toward the very spot where she had once been told she didn't belong. Now it was a place where everyone belonged, a place where assumptions died, and growth began, a place where her silence had once protected her dignity, and her voice had rebuilt everyone else's. She breathed in. Transformation wasn't a moment. It was a movement, and she was just getting started.